One of the main things about the magic that I love is that first hour of making music is usually the most important and usually the most enjoyable. After that hour or 2 hours, your productivity starts to decline, your level of inspiration starts to decline, and you start overthinking things. So it's really important to get into the flow of making music really, really quickly. And this is kind of a template that I threw together for this, but I do have all these instruments ready to roll. So as soon as inspiration strikes, I don't have to pull up an instrument. It's right there for me to use. You'll see that every other note I actually reduced in velocity. So we have a slightly louder note and then a quieter one. Louder, quieter. I could randomize this even more, but for me, this was enough variation that I was happy with the change. Compared to such a small difference, but it feels so much better. It's so much groovier. Now, when you add swing, generally speaking, mainly on Logic, but on most DAWs, it will affect the division or the and. You'll notice this as I decrease and increase. It will just affect that one there. Notice how the green one doesn't move. And the more I increase, the lazier it makes it. So let's have a listen with it straight. And if I increase it, let's make it really drastic. Obviously, that's way too much. Little bit, just to give it a bit of a push. Another thing I love to do with the hats as well is I like to delay them. I prefer to do this with a plugin so I can see immediately on the channel that I'm affecting it that way, rather than forgetting that this is happening. So again, I'll increase this too much and then come back. Too much, it starts to sound out. 333, it's a little lazy, but it still sounds good. And if I turn it off, you'll see it's like on the nose. Now, this is a technique that you can use in. What I really like about using synth hats is it gives you an added level of control that you don't have with MIDI necessarily, unless you have a longer sample. Check it out. And I could create like a white noise release with this if I wanted. If I make the release really long. Okay, so this is a technique that I learned actually the other day from Zen World. So he took a vinyl crackle sound like this. Then I put a gate on it. What I'm going to get it to do is I'm going to get the gate to be triggered by this closed hat here. So this gate is on the noise crackle, and I'm going to go to here, instrument, and I find closed hat. Now, what this means is every time the hat plays, the gate is going to open. So it's going to reveal the noise crackle. So the hat, which was initially quite bland, quite straight, quite boring, now has this nice change to it. It has this nice variation. Let's do this. So what I'm going to do is put it on 2000s. And I want it to pitch up and down. So I'm going to turn warp up. You can hear changes in pitch. Very subtle. Let's add the, like this, like bit crusher. Let's see if we can find something cool here. Perfect. That's so cool, right? So I'm just gonna fire that in. Let's take the marquee tool. And you'll notice towards the end of the phrase now, it's always going to open up. Close this bit. Let's see it open up here in a second. There you go. It adds that rhythm too, because it's like a delay essentially. and it breaks up the sound. So it makes it interesting. People are like, oh, don't use loops. Loops are boring. Trust me, you can make loops sound super cool if you know what you're doing. Hot tip with the Valhalla stuff, if you hit mix, if you click on it, it will lock in the mix as you flick through presets. The whole track feels quite slow, and that's fine. But I think we need something a bit more dum 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 bom 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 bom. Let's try that. Bit more interesting. Let's hear it in context quickly, and then I have some ideas on how to develop even. Cool, and let's create a variation here. Let's have this all the way up. Okay, now I'm like, okay, cool. We got something cool here. We got something really cool. So why don't I start messing around with like making... Oh, let's go. Let's do triplet. And then here, this feels a little wonky, a little like just, it's not adding to the rhythm. This may want dance. I mean, we're still making dance music, and I think often people forget that. Let's move it over. That's pretty cool. So I always like to put some sort of chords. It can be just 2 chords in a track like this. It can be pretty basic. Let's do an inverted chord. Okay, I'm just doing this by ear. I don't know if that's right. Oh, it is right. Okay, that was lucky. Okay, and I don't like the attack now. I want it to be sustained all the way through, so. No envelope.